Before the huge announcement, I'm going to firstly welcome two of the big guys, Samson Dauda.
How's it going? How's it going?
And Norbert. Hi, Norbert, dead face.
Yes, maybe not so big.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Samson,
Oh.
I don't want to beat the dead horse because the subject has been going around all the time about Arnold. I don't want to speak about others. I just want to ask you, how did you feel after your name being called as a winner?
Absolutely freaking awesome, man. I mean, just won a freaking Arnold Classic. How else are you going to feel? There's no other feeling but that, man. There's no other feeling but freaking just amazing, man. Feeling like all your hard work paid off, everything is worthwhile, and that's it, man. It's unreal. It's unreal.
Speaking to Arnold in real life, was it one of your dreams to, shake his hand?
Oh yeah. I mean, winning Arnold is always going to be one of the biggest potential dreams that you have next to winning Olympia. So, it feels like, you just tick one of the biggest boxes you can possibly tick. I just won the second biggest show in bodybuilding. So it doesn't get more surreal than that. It doesn't get more unreal than that. So at this point, you feel like there's only one award left in bodybuilding left for you to achieve, So it's an unreal feeling.
Stock has risen up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's for sure,
How was it to speak to the Phil Heath? I heard that he gave you some tips, advices on how to do what?
No, but because, in this modern time, it's different when you were back in the day and you win the competition. Before Phil Heath was the first Mr. Olympia we had in the social media era. And if anybody will have an experience on how to deal with the times the way it is now, he's the champ. He's the one that knows how. He's the one that had to first, pioneer this whole thing and endure all the things that come with it to being a champ in this modern era. So when he spoke to me, it was basically to sort of, make me understand not just how, appreciative we are to have this achievement and what it means to be a champion, but also how to watch out for the world the way it is, because no matter, you almost feel like you just crossed one bridge and then guess what? The biggest bridge just opened up to you. Now, you're in a world where you're basically being critiqued in everything you do and everything you wear, and how to cope with that. A lot of people, they're watching, but you are taking part of it. So you can have mentality from outside watching in, but being in the other side of actually being the one that bears the brunt of it, your mindset has to be different. And there's not a lot of people that sort of have been to that level where you can speak to about it, that have been through it, that have been in that point. So having him speak to me, it really sort of like opened my eyes to it and sort of like made me appreciate it to what he said and how he sort of, man, saying, look, Chab, all right, you get ready for a real battle, man. This is where it all begins, and you're a champion now, and this is where it all begins for you. You're looking you're the future of the sport, so you got to carry yourself like it and just be ready for what comes with it. And there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that title. It isn't just winning on the stage and then be like, okay, thanks, I'm going home now. So it really does. It was really amazing. It was really great to have him sort of speak to me then and really give me an insight and advice at that point.
Norbert, what did you think about the Arnold Classic, the whole lineup? Let's not speak about the places, but because it has been spoken so many times already, people are still making controversy. I think that it's best.
It's a part of this industry now, in my opinion, to speak, to make some conclusions, make some noise about this whole situation, because this is the bodybuilding in the new era. Yes, we have to use it. But in my opinion, the lineup was hard, was very stuck. Many big names, new names also. So the guys from the Olympia and the new names and the old guys also. So we didn't know what to expect. Like, okay, everybody can have some types, but finally we didn't know. The judges look more on the bigger size physiques, like mass monsters, or maybe aesthetics, more aesthetics, like size, but with aesthetics. So I think it's a good new trend in bodybuilding to watch the new line maybe of the bodybuilders, like a connection between old era with the freakiest sizes and crazy condition, but with the new thinking about bodybuilding, that you have also to be aesthetic, symmetric proportions. I heard a couple of days ago the interview with Kevin LeBron, and he told about his opinion and about all bodybuilding. And in his opinion, bodybuilding was always the proportions, symmetry, and mass, and etc., etc. So I think it's a good point. Of course, guys with the crazy mass, crazy monsters, always being the top, in my opinion, because we want to see that. But also the fans of bodybuilding around the world want to see something, I think, something fresh, something total new, like also something different in posing, like Samson, for example. I remember Samson from 2020 visit in Poland. You remember it was your beginning in the pro, I think. Yes, and your posing in that time was totally different, and evolve, of course, and evolve. You improve it every year, year by year. But in that time, when I saw you, I think the first show in Prague in live, I saw you in live. I know that guy will be something new, something different. If you go this path, this way, and improve year by year what you did, but stay with the proportions, stay with the symmetry, and stay with the a little classic posing, maybe like something like that, will be totally new trend in bodybuilding. And now Samson won the Arnold Classic, yes. So I think it's a spectacular, something spectacular.
Don't you guys think that it was the change that was implemented, because the change in the judging is huge? We can all already see it. Even the Terek and authors spoke about it, and they said that they are heading more into the aesthetic parts. Don't you think that classic had a huge impact, the introducement of the classic physique? As much as this class grows, I think that they are bringing it more to this path of the aesthetics because of the classic guys, because they saw how people actually enjoy those quite nice posing routines, this flow with the size. You know, then you have the guys like Samson, Andrew, Derek. Kody isn't even Kody is as well proportionate. That's the thing. And what do you guys think about it?
Because I think, you know what, you remember, like, for years, like since how long now, you know, they've always been this thing, like, where you've had chances where bodybuilding could go one way or the other. You know, you had Dorian time, you had you know, a lot of Jay's time. You have time where they could have easily gone for the aesthetic guy over the mass monster. And for years, they've always gone the mass monster route. And for years, you've had so long, you know, even when I was coming up, they've always been that, so many, you know, people saying, oh, we want to see the 90s again. We want to see the 90s guys. We want to see that shape, aesthetic. We want to see all that. So now we're coming to the era where we're having guys that are aesthetic, but big. You know, because it's different if we were coming in 240, 230, but aesthetic. But okay, nice. That's nice and pretty, but we're not freakish. But me and Andrew and everyone else, we're coming at 290, 280, big, massive, but yet holding that small waist and aesthetic, which it feels like, okay, yeah, we can have one thing, but it doesn't mean we give up the size because, you know, we give up the aesthetic for the size. It's like, okay, why can't we have both? Why can't we be big, as massive as we can, but yet still be monsters at the same time? And we see the classic class and we see how well they're doing with it and how nice people are drawn to that beautiful look and the posing and the dynamics of bodybuilding. And we've seen that people pulling towards that era of it. You see the Chris Bumstead, you see the Ramon, you see all them guys, and you watch and you can but look at them and just go, wow. So why do we assume that open class is supposed to be an uglier physique? Why do we assume that open style class is supposed to mean no proportions? Why do we assume that open class is supposed to just be big mass monsters with, you know, with no small waist? Why do I assume that that's what bodybuilding should be at open class? Why can't we just have the classic guys, but much more bigger? So when you're seeing it now, and finally they obviously judges are moving towards that criteria, you got to be like, well, isn't this what drew us to bodybuilding in the first place?
That's why exactly I showed this photo of you compared with the Licheni, because it wasn't you who made it. It was who is the best bodybuilder, the fan page. Yeah. It was reposted by Milos, and some people went like, Licheni would never accept this. And then, like 30 minutes later, Licheni reposts it, and everyone goes like, "This is what we want to see. We want to see old legends support the way that bodybuilding is heading." And I'm really, really happy that Licheni, even though I think that he's not so into the sport anymore. I mean, he doesn't probably.
I tell you this much, right? When I won the Arnold, this is what people. When I won the Arnold, the next day we had obviously Meet the Legends, and I remember if you see, there's a picture where all the legends were there, and I remember Licheni coming up to me and he spoke to me in the corner and he said, "Man, I haven't been keeping up with a lot of bodybuilding for a lot of years because I've just sort of lost interest in the physique I was seeing." Well, he said, "Look, what I saw yesterday for the first time made me excited to watch bodybuilding again."
Wow! And
honestly, it broke my heart because I just looked at that and I just felt like, you know what? It was over the moon for me. I was like, wow, you know, that's so surreal. So when he even sent me the message, he sent me that post and he tagged me in it, and going, "Oh, me and my wife were talking," and we said like, "You're just a bigger version of me." I'm cracking up laughing. I'm thinking, this is crazy. This is 8 times Olympia. Licheni saying this, but. Those I'm noticing, like, you know, those are the old school guys. When we sat there backstage, and they were telling me that, look, well, they were so afraid the day before that there was under that threshold of, okay, what route is bodybuilding going to go again? Are we going to? This is one of those moments of change where it's like the judge is going to make a call to go back to where we've all been there and done that, or are they going to really make a change this time and say, okay, no, we see the mass, we see the freak, we see the freak monster, but at the same time, we acknowledge that the symmetry and aesthetic that comes with bodybuilding. Are they going to actually make a change to go this route? And he goes, the minute you won, you set that tone, that precedence for this is the direction bodybuilding is going now. When they were telling me that at the time backstage after the show, I didn't get it. I just thought, well, I just won the Arnold. For me, it was like, I just won the Arnold. But now, coming from that show and seeing all the posts and everything that's going on week by week and all they're saying, and people seeing the change that's now happening because of that, it feels crazy because it was something that I didn't go into the show thinking, yeah, I'm going to try to change the game and change or make it a real thing. I just went in there and said, I'm just going to bring my best and present a package that represent what I would like to see. But then seeing the kind of feedback we're getting from that, it makes you feel honored.
Yes.
About the direction, you said it best. You weren't yet aware about that, but yesterday there was a British qualifier, regionals. And your friend's client, Carlos, won it. And actually, he wasn't the biggest guy.
No,
he wasn't the most peeled guy. To be honest, he was exactly in the middle. He was peeled enough to show all of his best body parts. He was proportionate. He was symmetrical, and that's the way that bodybuilding is heading.
No. The thing is, this is what I've always said, like, let's be real. Let's all talk about it, right? When you want to speak to somebody that's never watched a bodybuilding before, your friend or your family that you've never seen bodybuilding before, and you said you want to show them a physique that best represents bodybuilding, what have we always done? We've always grabbed pictures like Flex Wheeler, Sean Ray, those things. we don't. I mean, as much as we don't grab the freakiest bodybuilder and say, "Oh, look at this. This is," because we know that they will not. They will just look at it and go, "Oh, no, that's terrible." So we always grab the prettiest physique that sort of appeals to the masses. This is what we've always done. We can all act a different way, but we know, because I did it when I started bodybuilding, and I wanted to show my family that what sport I was going into. I couldn't grab a freaky, giant guy with like guts and stuff and say, "Oh, this is the sport I want to do." They'll look at me and go, "Are you stupid? What was this?" So I was picked out, the Phil Heath, the Sean Ray, the Flex Week, the physique that I knew that looked aesthetically pleasing. And I showed them going, "This is bodybuilding." And they look and go, "Wow, okay, I see. Wow, this is, So this is the concept bodybuilding has always had, and why, we want to make bodybuilding bigger. We want to make it more mainstream. We want to make it more seen by the world. But you cannot do it when you're bringing out package that most people would just shrun and turn away from. You have to have something that appeals to not just those people that know what they're looking for, but those people that don't.
It's impressive, of course. It takes lots of hard work. We are not taking it away. No. But Miros said it best. It's body building, not only muscle building. You have to build your body brick by brick. Everyone says brick by brick, step by step. And yet they put the bricks in the places where they are. Exactly. Yeah. When they already have the bricks.
Exactly.
Look at the Nick Walker, his physique, with all of the respect, it changed so drastically. He improved so much.
Super fast.
Yeah, you weren't even watching. When you were watching Arnold, you were like, he doesn't look blocky at all.
No.
When he was posing, he looked immense. It was really pleasing to watch. He was just a smaller guy. I mean, the smaller as the height. And he can't win with someone who is like 5'10" and 300 pounds.
It was just a typical bodybuilding comparison. When you have the bodybuilder who pose alone, every bodybuilder looks perfect, amazing, and like a winner. Yeah, but sometimes if you put that great guys together on the one stage, in the one call out, close each other, not in the 6th place and the 7th place, but close each other. And you see the difference. Wow, where is the legs? Where is the waist? How big arms? How big shoulders? You see this small differences, but not super small. Like sometimes even people who don't know what is exactly bodybuilding, they see the differences. Wow, that guy have a great waist, smaller waist than that guy. Yes.
Yeah.
And this is comparison. This is only that. This is not like a hate or people say in the internet, in the social media, "Oh, that guy should won. That guy we don't know what to do with that guy." No, it's just a comparison with the best of the best. Yes, everybody who was in the Arnold Classic, in my opinion, is the top of the top. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And exactly that, it's just amazing because like we're looking at the change, we're looking at the bodybuilding the way it is now. And we are so astonished with the amount of level of athletes we have now at that level. And you got to look at it and like, this is why it's so exciting, because normally in years past, you have 1 or 2 guys that are so far away from the pack. And when you look at the next Olympia, you can automatically say, okay, that's the one, that's going to be number 2, and everybody else. But now we're in a career where everybody's so close, everybody's so jiving for space. It makes it exciting. It makes it like, okay, you can look at the next Olympia this year, and automatically, if you try to predict the top 5, the amount of names you have to pick from is crazy. Yeah. You're like, oh my God, it's almost impossible to pick out who's going to be your definite top 5. But in the last years before, you could pretty much just stand and go, well, this is going to be a top 5, and wherever place they land is going to be mainly your top 5. But now you don't have that anymore. Now it's that close. Now it's that intense, and now it's that interesting.
In my opinion, the Olympia this year, the title is like, okay, the Mr. Olympia had it open, but the title is open. Like you can think that Kody Chopin win or somebody win, but I think everybody who was in the top 5, top 6, who won the Arnold Classic, everybody has a chance.
Yeah.
And we don't know what expect with the rest of the year, because we have a couple months more to qualification.
Every each of us can name like from the top of your head, you can name like 8 people who are going to compete for the title. It's like, you know, Nick for sure, Derek, Samson, Kody, Rami. Don't count Rami out. Never count Rami out.
Yeah, exactly.
You have Hunter, who is hungry. You have so many new faces, like, you know, Ian working now with Matt Jansen. There's so many people, and it's going to be exciting. That's what we needed in the sport. Samson, how is the rebound going? Because I saw you were like, yeah, it's going to end up. I remember day before you were like, yeah, it's going to end up like in 5 days, I'm going to be 310. I see the next day, Samson 310.
Yeah, because now, literally now we're sitting on 310. This weekend, we basically decided, okay, we're going to end the rebound phase and go into next week. I'm just got to clear out because we want to have a longer off season. So I need a break. I need to give my body a break. Now we're sitting at 310 pounds, and I know that we'll probably be there for the next 6 to 8 weeks, and just give yourself a break, and then hopefully have a longer off season to really make progression happen. And, you know, then from there, going straight into the Olympia prep.
So you make the break now, or you start
from literally from today.
Today,
so,
okay.
Yeah, so I have about 8 weeks break, and then from there we start the off season. But yeah, it's going well, man. It's nice to finally be out of the other side. You know, we've been prepping since August, and it's it feels like it's been forever. I've forgotten what it's like to just be normal and eat food and not care about exactly when you're supposed to go here or what you're supposed to eat, and not have any fresh food that you want to just enjoy. So yeah, man, honestly, it's been really good. It's been really good, you know.
Congratulations, by the way, to you and Marlenka.
Thank you. Thank you. Finally,
it was a big day.
Yes. Yeah.
And Cerberus looked immensely.
Oh man,
Cerberus looked cool.
but in my opinion, you have the best outfit for the wedding.
Oh yeah, I was just like, you know, bodybuilder, man, it's like I was rebounding. I was like, okay, I need to hold off as much as I can. But I was thinking, okay, what can I possibly? I'm not gonna wear a suit, man, because like, what suit is gonna fit me? You know, if it fits me today, it won't fit me tomorrow. Yeah. So kind of sat there like, okay, you know what? Look, we just got the Arnold jacket, baby. Like
the Arnold jacket.
You're ever gonna remember that moment? Like, yeah. So I was like, yep, that's exactly what I want to wear. I'm like, yep, I'm walking the Arnold jacket, man. Give me that shirt. Arnold jacket, just rock that. Yeah, you know,
because it's as well a symbolical thing, because you and Marlenka have worked together for this thing so hard. She was always there with you. She was your coach. She still is a second coach right now. Because she still communicates with Milos. And I almost said it like Jay, Milos. So yeah. It looked really good, and Cerberus is lacking the, you know.
He's tired.
He's tired. But he looked really cool. Norbert, about the announcement which we were supposed to talk about. So,
yes. Oh man, it will be a big event in Poland. I just want to introduce you guys for some special day in May. It will be 6th May this year in Poland, in Poznań. Big seminar with Samson. So Samson comes to Poland, and we have a plan to make first workout training seminar in the gym world in Poznań. Open like the entry will be, of course, payment, but not super expensive. I can say that now it will be 99 zloty only. Yes, so this is like entry for the gym, for the pass for the gym, but after that will be a special, like a special time with Samson, only for people who want to join us, like smaller group, for the smaller group of people, with the special offer. And it will be like posing with Samson. So the one and only super occasion to check your condition, check your posing, check your experience with the presentation, everything with the champion of the Arnold Classic this year, and top of the top in the Olympia. So, in my opinion, this is a 1 in a million opportunity to make this in Poland, because we want to bring the bodybuilding, like pro bodybuilding, closer to the people, closer to the normal also people, like normal people who go to the gym, train, and don't know anything special about bodybuilding. Mm-hmm. And I want today see the IFBB Pro champion and how he train, how he look, how he speak and think about the food, about everything, and to bring the bodybuilding closer, because still in Poland, as in many countries, I think also in Europe, the bodybuilding is like little, I don't know how to say, like sport. Niche. Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, we are fans, we are big fans, but we know everything, almost everything about this sport. But many people, if you ask them who is the bodybuilder, bodybuilder, maybe Pudzianowski or Arnold. Okay, they know Arnold was the bodybuilder, but or Mariusz Pudzianowski is not a bodybuilder; is a strongman in the past. But they don't know exactly what is the bodybuilding and what is the main idea of the bodybuilding. So the Samson is in my opinion, great example of the bodybuilding new era and the connection between old and new era. So we can bring the guy like Samson to the Poland, special invitation, and I want to welcome everybody who want to join us. And today is Sunday, so Monday, tomorrow, I will put the main informations on the social media, Samson also, and you can contact with us by the Instagram, by my website, phoenixteam.pl, and by the entry and by the special entry for the special part. This part will be not for everybody.
No, also, but how much it is going to cost? The second part.
The special part will be 250 zloty.
That's still nothing.
Yes, in my opinion, also yep. It's a very good price. The main partner of the event will be the BioLab, and of course the Dream World, the place where will be a training workout. And I hope we will see many famous faces from the bodybuilding our local Polish market, like you, David, like many IFBB pros also from the another parts of the Poland. So will be a great time to spend with the atmosphere of bodybuilding, to spend with Samson, and for the special part will be not so many places. So who will be the first will have a place, but it will be not like 100 places. So stay focused, guys, about this. And one thing more, in the special part, we will have some time when we can ask Samson like a question answer part, like, you know, about everything, about his preparation to Arnold, to Olympia, his plans, eating, food, supplements, everything. So also, I think very, very interesting part. And also for the people who have a problem maybe with the English or something like that, we will have a translator. Also, I think Samson, Marlena will be with you, Marlenka? Yes. So I think sometimes maybe she will help.
Let her rest for once. Let the women rest. She's working even more than Samson is.
Yeah, I know. But behind every strong guy is the strong woman.
Yes, very true. You know, and like you said, no, but you know, this is opportunity because, you know, like before we used to have those expos around Europe where, you know, the top bodybuilders in the world were able to travel to Europe and do shows and compete and then meet the fans and everything else. And for a few years, we haven't had that for some time now. We haven't been able to have like top 5, top 10 guys in the world travel to Europe for a long time.
Exactly.
And I remember when I was coming up, you know, I was always looking forward to be able to see those guys, you know, when they come to Body Power Expo in the UK.
In live.
Go to people, and I was so looking forward to seeing them in real life and being able to talk to them. And it was something that I always really look forward to during the summer and the part of the year. And because we haven't had that in such a long time, and it seems like a big shame. So when, you know, the opportunity comes for me to be in that position, I feel like, you know, it's something 100% I want to do. Regardless of anything else, I want to be able to come to Europe, come to Poland, come around and give people the chance to sort of meet the top pros in the world face to face and shake their hands and take a picture and ask them questions, which is something I really wanted as a bodybuilder coming up. So guys, for your chance to sort of get that opportunity to do it, this is it, man. Let's bring bodybuilding back and show that bodybuilding is not just in America.
Exactly.
It's here in Europe, it's here in the UK, it's here, it's all over the world. So I want to make sure that I travel all over to really open up the idea of bodybuilding, not just to one side of the world, but know that bodybuilding is international. So give you guys a chance to sort of see the top pros face to face and get to meet and understand what bodybuilding really is.
I feel a little influence of Jay Cutler here. He always spoke about when you have some free time, and you are going to have some free time because otherwise, if you wouldn't be qualified, probably Milos would run you through the 10 shows or something like this.
No, yeah, you know, that's right.
You have done like 9 shows. 9 shows,
Milos. Yes.
Oh, that was a hard. That was a hard time. But it was all worth it. It was all worth it.
It was worth it because we learned a lot very quickly. And, you know, people say, oh, man, you've improved very quickly. It's because we did a lot of learning. And because we had so many shows, it gave us a lot of opportunity for him to learn my body, for me to learn new things about how he works. And now we've been able to sort of put it together and start seeing it, you know, each show we're coming better, each show we're getting better, each show we're getting bigger. Is because we're learning in rapid rate and we're understanding how my body works and how we work together as a team. And you know what? This is what's going to keep on happening. Knowing the Olympia, you're going to see a much more improved package once again.
And still, doubters are going to do their doubting, and you're going to prove them wrong.
Oh, yes.
That is all about, you know, I don't think that you are anymore about proving anyone besides yourself and making Marlenka and your closest crew proud. Because in the end, we all love to watch bodybuilders as even either they lose, either they win. We are still going to watch it. Doesn't matter. We just hope that you guys stay.
I will say one thing. Sometimes it's more important to see the bodybuilder or any kind of the sport when the guy is lost something, like lost some places, didn't win the show, and after that he stand up, go forward, and and finally he win. Like Samson, I remember the situation in Korea. It was the most crazy thing I ever see in the fucking internet. Yeah, it's more unbelievable. And finally, after 2 weeks there, you lost. Like lost. We didn't know exactly why. And
until now, we haven't seen the photos.
It is a mystery. It's something like mystery. Okay, no problem. But after that, you compete again, and did it. Yes, won it. And now Arnold Classic, boom. For me, it's a big inspiration, and I really want to tell the people in Poland about this with you, because it motivates me, and I think it can motivate everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Guys, keep on working, keep on inviting people, share this information about all the upcoming news, because there are a few more still unannounced, and we're going to announce them in the future. Follow the Instagram of Samson Dauda, follow Norbert, Phoenix, Tymczak, leave, subscribe, like, and comment, and all of the good things here. Thank you guys for being here with me, and see ya soon.
See you soon. Bye-bye.